And there you go, Marvy.
Thank you, Ashley. Welcome, everyone, to the Parent Sessions Series 2, The Path to Reading and Spelling. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Marvy Hagopian, your presenter for this session. Due to technical issues, we are revisiting the content we shared last November. We are so excited to present Parent Session 14, hosted by the Dyslexia Initiative. During the last school year, we gave 12 presentations on early literacy skills in a series entitled Beginning at the Beginning. The focus of these sessions was on what children need to learn and do from birth to 5 years of age. These presentations are available on the Dyslexia Initiative's webpage and on YouTube. You can access these recordings by searching for the Dyslexia Initiative, the Parent Sessions. Watching last year's 12 sessions will help you better understand the content we are presenting this year. Our focus this season is on what kindergartners and first graders need to know to become successful readers. Reading acquisition and instruction must follow evidence-based research, meaning the content is based upon longitudinal reading research that is reliable and replicated. For this reason, we will have a discussion on reading language arts, standards, and frameworks. These two documents establish the path to proficient reading and literacy. In this season, we will explain what standards and frameworks are, their purpose, and why they are important. We will introduce you to a document you can use as a supplemental guide to your state standards. Before we get into our topic, I would like to introduce this year's panel members. Ashley Roberts.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
There you are. Because we have people from joining us from all around the world. Please, if you don't mind, write your general vicinity in the chat box. Ashley will acknowledge your locations. Our panel members are administrators and literacy coaches who are well versed in the science of reading, having experienced educators who know firsthand the value of teaching reading based on this science will significantly enhance our experience. Panel members, when I say your name, please say hello so we can see who you are. We have Dr. Norma Baker.
Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Roxanne. Oops, Roxanne is not here today. I'm sorry. We have Marilyn Astori.
Hello, Happy New Year as well.
And Michelle.
Hi, everybody. Glad that we're all together tonight.
Now, did I remind you to, if you're joining us, to please write your general vicinity in the chat box so Ashley can acknowledge your locations. And we also have, who did I miss? Michelle. Did we?
Oh, I said hi to every.
Okay. Okay.
Hi to every.
Okay, great. Now you can access panel members' bios on the Dyslexia Initiative's website. Just as we did last year, we will finish this session with a wrap-up chat where we address your questions and comments. Feel free to submit your thoughts throughout the presentation They will be addressed at the end of this session. So I'm wondering if we've given people enough time to write their locations, share with us their locations in the chat box. Ashley, do we have any people telling us where they're watching from? Well, let's move on. You know, it's really fun to know that people from all around the world are joining us tonight.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted.
Oh, okay.
My bad. New York, Texas, Alabama, Iowa, Charlotte, North Carolina, Pennsylvania so far.
Okay,
Wow.
wonderful. So let's begin to explore today's topic on standards and frameworks. In today's session, we will be covering what language arts standards and frameworks are. You may be wondering, why are we taking an entire session to focus on standards and frameworks? Well, we are sharing this information because these tools can empower you with the knowledge that you need to ensure your child succeeds at every grade level. We will also describe how parents can use these documents to identify missing or deficient skills and strategies in their underperforming children. At the end of this session, we will share links to standards and framework documents for preschool as well as kindergarten through through grade 12. Let's begin by defining standards. Standards describe what teachers are to teach and what students are to learn. They establish the path for curriculum development. Standards are typically mastery standards of skills and strategies students need to learn. Mastery is a strong indication that students are well prepared for the next school year. Standards are based on critical language arts building blocks. They are usually organized by interrelated skills and strategies, such as phonemic awareness and decoding and word recognition. Some skills are taught within a grade level. For example, learning the alphabet in kindergarten. Other skills require several years to reach proficiency. For example, instruction on vocabulary development. Proficiency in grade level specific skills is the desired outcome for all students. We use videos from the internet to support or clarify our content. They also make the presentations more interesting. This short video clip we are going to show now explains why standards and frameworks are important to district and school administrators, teachers, and parents.
Very dedicated to the process of setting high expectations for all of our students here in Massachusetts.
Massachusetts really has an amazing reputation in our country for having a great educational system, and a really big part of that are our standards.
For us, it's a great feeling to know that we have the support of the state that's always looking to progressively meet high expectations.
We believe that every student should engage with grade appropriate text every day. And I think when that happens, you see the kids really engaged in what they're doing. You see the connections that they're making, and you push their thinking in new ways, whether it's fiction or nonfiction.
To shift your perspective and to see that standards can be this equalizing force to say, by the end of a student's educational career, they will be able to do X, Y, and Z is transformative.
And that's all students. So students with disabilities, multilingual students, students struggling for various reasons, students in every district in the state, no matter their income level.
Our students deserve and are entitled to the right to equity in education with the rigor that comes with it, irrespective of the district or the school.
When I'm teaching ELL, the standards for all the subject areas are really part of my planning and thinking and goal setting. As an ELL teacher, I'm able to help them access the curriculum and achieve these standards, first of all, just by believing that they can.
Students really need access to cognitively demanding and linguistically demanding text every single day of their schooling.
It's really critical that you match students with materials that are on their independent as well as their instructional reading levels. And by doing that, you give them opportunities to read independently, to build that confidence and fluency.
When kids are really engaged with a text, not just reading it, that's why I like this verb engage. When they're really engaged with a text, it's awesome to see. It's magical.
The student is making personal connections. The student is making text-to-text connections. The student is showing empathy in what they're reading, recognizing conflict, using evidence from the text.
So reading is always at the center of English language arts, but we do want to make the point that texts come in various forms. They can involve videos, they can be multimedia, and students engage with those texts at a grade appropriate level, as well as with words on a page.
Engagement within literacy is so important, and what that looks like are 4 tenets of literacy: reading, writing, speaking, and listening.
It all really works together to build strong literacy.
There we go. And we'll go back to our slides. Different states and countries have their own sets of standards. You may find it's useful to read your state standards. It's common for states to produce 2 separate documents, one that lists the standards and another that provides frameworks or guidelines on how standards should be taught. You can find your state standards by entering the words English Language Arts Standards and the name of your state in your browser. So the purpose of standards is to set the foundation for curriculum development. Standards list what to teach at each grade level in clear, concise, and easy to understand language. Ideally, they address the needs of all students, including those who are proficient, advanced, underperforming, have learning disabilities, or whose first language is different from the country in which they live. The Reading Language Arts Standards we will cover this season have components that are applicable to any alphabetic language. This is because successful reading is dependent upon the same literacy skills. For instance, concepts of print, phonemic awareness, decoding, spelling, and vocabulary development. It's important to understand standards are not a curriculum. They are simply a list of critical skills and strategies all students need to learn and do. A comparison of state standards across the United States reveals that state standards are similar. However, occasionally there are some differences. For example, in the United States, a few of our states do not include standards on letter formation, spelling, grammar, and decodable text. All of these are important skills. Recently, several states have revised their standards, although the revisions have not significantly changed from the Common Core standards developed in 2010. For example, Mississippi created a scaffolding document in 2016 for the purpose of elaborating on the standards. This slide shows a portion of that document. It was created to help teachers understand what students need to do to demonstrate mastery of specific skills. This kindergarten standard, shown in red right here, recognize the name, all upper and lowercase letters of the alphabet is an example. The area in blue below desired student performance lists what students should be able to do. This is called prerequisite knowledge. Take a moment to read the blue column. The area in green is a list of conceptual knowledge students should understand. The yellow column gives us benchmarks or evidence teachers use to confirm the standards have been learned. If students can do these skills, point to letters, sort letters, identify, match, and write upper and lowercase letters, then teachers know the standard has been mastered. You could use the document to determine how well your child has mastered specific standards. This image originally appeared in a 2001 publication and is referred to as Scarboroughs reading rope. Dr. Hollis Scarborough created this reading rope to provide a visual of the concept that standards are intertwined and support one another. Standards are seldom taught independently. For example, under word recognition, here, the threads of phonological awareness, decoding and spelling, and sight recognition are combined with the threads of language comprehension up here to create a skilled reader. Let's move on to frameworks. Frameworks, also known as curriculum guides, describe how to teach the standards. They are a blueprint for organizing programs, materials, and instruction based on the standards. Their purpose is to explain the most efficient and effective way to teach the standards. Additionally, frameworks are useful when districts and teachers are evaluating and adopting reading programs. Now, effective frameworks or curriculum guides use standards to align curriculum, assessments, and instruction to create a comprehensive, systematic guide for teaching and learning. They assume all students can learn to read, address the needs of all learners, and they promote a preventative rather than remedial approach. Frameworks and curriculum guides are designed to serve the needs of a wide range of consumers. So we're talking about professional educators, publishers, and parents. Other elements to look for in a framework document include guidance on classroom instruction, such as instructional programs and materials, instructional time, grouping and scheduling, differentiated instruction and universal access, as well as instructional delivery and alignment of assessments with instruction. When examining a framework document, look for information regarding the importance of systematic explicit instruction, modeling, repeated review and practice, progress monitoring, successful diagnostic teaching. In other words, how to identify struggling students while the lesson is being delivered. You'll also be looking for targeted and timely intervention, information on that, and universal access for diverse learners. We're talking about special needs students, students with learning disabilities, advanced learners, and language learners. Also look for explanations about why each of the points on this and the previous two slides are important. Our United States Common Core standards were adopted in 2010 to standardize mastery of English language arts, grade level skills and strategies nationwide. Its implementation, however, was left to individual states. Some states left curriculum and instructional decisions to their districts and schools. Several state departments of education referred teachers to the What Works Clearinghouse document entitled Foundational Skills to Support Reading for Understanding in Kindergarten through third grade. This means information on how to teach standards varies among states. Here is a link to the Educator's Practice Guide that we referred to on our previous slide. Notice that the skills that are discussed, the information on how to teach these skills and strategies only go from kindergarten through third grade. However, it's an excellent document. So we'll post this link on the Dyslexia Initiative's website, along with other references connected to this presentation. This guide provides educators and parents specific evidence-based recommendations for teaching basic reading skills. They can be implemented in conjunction with existing standards or curricula. Now let's discuss why both standards and frameworks are important for effective curriculum development and delivery of instruction. And we will also explain why this information is essential for parents. Think of standards as a roadmap to literacy achievement. They are the foundations upon which learning is built. Frameworks elaborate on the standards by describing the instruction needed to help students achieve proficiency in the most efficient and effective way. Now let's continue this roadmap analogy. Standards and frameworks work together to help us reach our destination. They are designed to drive instruction and avoid wrong turns. It's important that all stakeholders understand successful instruction and curriculum development are dependent upon well-written, evidence-based, replicated standards and frameworks. Now here's another analogy to help us understand the purpose of standards and frameworks. This is fun. This one's fun for me. When baking a pie, some recipes are better than others. The ingredients correspond to standards. The technique on how to mix the ingredients are like frameworks. We know that the quality of our pie, the one that will have the best flavor and flakiest crust, is dependent upon the quality of the ingredients we use and the techniques we apply. Proper execution results in a better product. Without the best evidence-based standards and frameworks, teachers struggle with delivering a well-planned lesson. So what I'm saying here is standards alone are insufficient for success. To be effective, teachers need great standards and frameworks. Standards and frameworks also provide a guide regarding what and when it is appropriate to assess students on specific skills and strategies. Assessments are critical in language arts. Incremental skills within the standards should be periodically evaluated to determine progress toward mastery. When designed and used appropriately and effectively, ongoing assessments inform instruction throughout the year. They provide a window into what students know and have yet to learn. Waiting until the end of the school year to determine if students have achieved mastery of grade level content standards is simply too late. In addition, assessment results help district administrators determine whether students in their district are on track to achieving mastery across grades. Results also alert administrators and teachers to the effectiveness of their chosen curriculum. Just as teachers and publishers turn to the standards and frameworks for guidance on assessment, parents can use these documents to determine whether their child is performing on, above, or below grade level. On this slide, we have decoding and word recognition standards for kindergarten through grade 3. Let's say a parent has an underperforming child in 3rd grade and wants to know how to support him. So we start here. The parent could use the standards to figure out which skills the child still needs to learn. For example, it is near the end of 3rd grade, and my child is unable to decode regular multisyllabic words. Difficulty with this 3rd grade standard is an indication that foundational skills in previous grades have not been acquired. By looking at earlier standards, I can get an idea of which skills my child can and cannot do. A parent's knowledge of grade level standards is critical during parent-teacher conferences and especially during IEP, that's Individualized Educational Program meetings. It's important to remember that parents are equal partners in planning and implementing a child's intervention program. Intervention planning should include skills that need to be retaught, strengthened, and practiced. Mastery of prerequisite grade level skills must be the focus of intervention. You know, as a parent of a dyslexic child, I wish I had known about standards and frameworks. If I had been informed, I would have been better prepared to participate in IEP meetings and better equipped to reinforce these skills at home. I would have also understood how these earlier foundational skills fit into the big picture of closing the gap of my underperforming child. Here's a picture of the 2007 Reading Language Arts Framework. The content found in this document is complementary to current state standards. This framework, and I highly recommend it, includes grade level standards and has explanations of what, why, and how standards should be taught using evidence-based reading research. You might consider bookmarking this website. The information in this document is concrete, straightforward, and easy to understand. We've listed 2 links to this document. Now you'll use the second one if you want to download a free copy. We will use this framework as a reference throughout our Path to Reading and Spelling series. Now here is the 2010 California Preschool Curriculum Framework. This is an example of another document you will want to add to your library. This preschool framework is very thorough. It covers both English language arts, and mathematics. I'm confident preschool teachers and parents will find it helpful. The document can be viewed online at the California Department of Education's website. It can also be purchased online or downloaded for free from Yumpu. The Yumpu link is also on this slide. Check the date of publication before you purchase or download a copy to make sure it is the 2010 version. Now you see the 2008 California Preschool Learning Foundations. This is the companion standards document to the preschool framework you saw in the previous slide. This document lists standards for both English language arts and mathematics. The links to all the documents we are referencing today can be found on the Dyslexia Initiative's website. So let's summarize what we talked about in this session. Standards describe what to teach. They are our roadmap of the skills and strategies students need to learn and be able to do by the end of each grade level. They should adhere to longitudinal, replicated, and evidence-based research. Standards are taught to mastery. Standards inform teachers, administrators, and publishers when and what to assess. Frameworks describe how to teach the standards efficiently and effectively. They elaborate on standards by describing the curriculum and instruction necessary to help students achieve mastery. Standards alone are insufficient to guide instruction. To be effective, educators need great standards and frameworks. Well, we're nearing the end of our session. Should you be interested in exploring this topic in more detail, consider visiting the links on the Dyslexia Initiative's website. You can go to the recorded sessions once you get there, and then click on parent sessions. Become familiar also with your state standards and frameworks. It will be very beneficial for you as a parent to know your standards and frameworks. And if your state does not happen to have great frameworks, highly recommend our 2007 version that I showed you just a little while ago. Become familiar with your state's, oops, I just said that, sorry. Then join us next week, January 20th at 5 p.m. for our Parent Session 15. In that session, we'll explain how early phonemic awareness and sound spelling correspondence skills are taught. Now it's time for our favorite part of the evening. We're going to respond to any questions or concerns you may have.
Hi, Marvy. We haven't had any questions, but we've had a comment that from Tina saying, I have a hard time translating what the standards mean, and this was a helpful discussion.
Oh, great.
Good. That's the reason we're doing this, because, it's just so important that we as parents understand what know and understand what our children are supposed to be learning. And we can't know that without having good references. And the best reference we can use are standards and the frameworks. And I would have to say, Tina, that when I was doing my searches for different state frameworks, I was not very happy with a lot of what I saw. I was seriously disappointed.
And as an advocate, I would completely agree with you. And I would also encourage parents to use their state standards and frameworks in writing their children's IEP goals.
Yes.
And using especially where they're behind in certain aspects, and using those to really drive the progress that needs to be made within the IEP document itself.
That's right. And I really do like Mississippi's scaffolding document, because it has a list of the skills that children should be able to demonstrate, that, those skills that will indicate mastery, because that's what we're all reaching for, right? That's
right.
What we're doing.
I agree. Tina also added, I would appreciate any tips to help translate the standards into more parent-friendly language with work examples. That might be something you consider having a couple written examples for, maybe.
Well, we can do that. But I would have to say, no, I'm not. Organization is really important when it comes to standards. And while the Common Core Standards does have good standards, I am personally critical of its organization, because it starts from comprehension, and you're going to find those foundational skills near the end of the document. And that's really backwards. That's another reason why I'm referencing our the 2007 Curriculum Frameworks and Standards, because the organization is very well done. It's very well done, very similar to Common Core Standards. And then it comes right there in the document with explanations about each of these standards. So it's pretty much all in that document. I mean, it pretty much covers it. But I guess the other thing that we need to remind people is that what we're doing in these presentations is all of our focus is on making sure that what we're doing is presented in a logical sequence for parents. So we're basically using these standards for our presentations, and we're presenting them in a sequential manner. So if you watch our presentations, I'm talking about our first 12 sessions, which is foundational for everything that children need to know and do before they enter kindergarten. And then if you watch our future presentations, you will get that explanations, because we are going to be talking about these standards, and we're talking about what they are and how they're taught. And we're going to do it sequentially. So that's going to happen. This all takes time. It's not a quick process, but we're slowly moving and carefully, deliberately moving in that direction. So that's going to happen, and those explanations are going to happen. It's pretty hard to do in just one presentation. But this is also today's presentation is foundational for what we're going to be doing in the future. Anybody else have any comments?
Tina says that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
You're welcome, Tina.
We've not had any additional comments. There was one from Heidi agreeing with Tina that work examples for elementary, middle school, junior high, and high school levels would be great. But I think that your explanation cleared things up.
Great. Well, and it's also important for us to remember, you may already know that these skills these skills, these foundational skills are all built on one another. So when you're missing, if you have a child that's struggling in middle school, we still need to go back and figure out which foundational skills they still need to learn. And we start at the beginning, just like in our Linda Farrell videos. She always reminds us to go back and figure out, where the needs are. And we start, if it's starting at letter naming, we go back to letter naming and we work up from there. That's just the way we do it. It's the only way to do it.
So we've had another one from Lindsay. I'm sorry for coming on late, but I am starting to learn, and I noticed my son learning a different way since kindergarten. And with letter reversals and noticing he writes words how they sound. Is dysgraphia a part of dyslexia? And I'm sorry, my dogs are making a lot of noise, but I thought I might take this one. You can have a dyslexia diagnosis without dysgraphia, and you can have a dysgraphia diagnosis without dyslexia. They do tend to exist together, but that's also not extremely common for them to do so. But dysgraphia is an issue with written expression. It can be fine motor. It might not be fine motor. It can also be the inability to get thoughts onto paper. So, you can have a child that can tell you a story with 1,000 details verbally, but when they go to write it down on paper, they may struggle to get those thoughts out of their head and onto paper. The fine motor may be, how they hold their pen. That's never been an issue for my dysgraphic child. He's always held his pen perfectly, but his sequencing is backwards, meaning he doesn't write backwards, but he shapes his letters from end to beginning. And there's actually a short window with which to fix sequencing by. But if your child has dysgraphia, it's really important that as we remediate our children, that we work on written expression, meaning handwriting, grammar, and syntax, in conjunction with working on all reading skills. They need to be taught at exactly the same time. Spelling, which is the encoding versus the decoding of the reading. All of that needs to be taught together explicitly. And that's really important, not just for our dyslexic and dysgraphic children, but for all of our children, really. So that's the information that I would give you about dysgraphia. If you do suspect it, neuropsychologists, or many diagnosticians could be able to provide that diagnosis to you.
And we will be doing a session on dysgraphia, I believe, about parent session 17. So coming up. Handwriting parent session 16.
And we've not had any more questions so far.
Okay. Well, I think we've come to the end of our session. Ashley, thank you. Marilyn, Michelle, Norma. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Marby, for putting these together. This has been great.
Yes.
You're welcome. It's our pleasure. It's really a passion for us, just like it is for you. We really want to empower parents, inform teachers and empower parents.
Absolutely.
Great
Okay.
job.
All right. Everybody have a great night.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.